Here I'm testing the battery voltage while running. A good reading should be about 14.4 volts. It's time to remove the alternator. The car I'm working on today is an Audi A5. It's a 2.7 V6 TDI engine. First I'm going to remove the airbox. With the airbox removed, it's still almost impossible to see the alternator down in there. As you can see, there's poor light, but you can barely see it. So I'm just pointing at a coolant pipe there that I've taken off. Just a couple of pipes that you need to take off to try and make a bit of room here. That's also where the intercooler pipe sits up at the top there. And down at the bottom I'm pointing at a bolt there. So that bolt there at the bottom and another bolt in at the back there, they help hold that intercooler pipe in. Now I found it really difficult to actually take that out. I didn't actually take it out completely, but at least whenever you loosen it off, it helps things. So here we have one of the alternator bolts. So there's two of them down in there. So there's one down in there at the top and another at the bottom. This just allows me to actually loosen the alternator. Unfortunately at this point I still wasn't actually able to squeeze the alternator out past. As you can see, the alternator sitting down in there. At this point I didn't realise just how big a job this would be to try and get the actual alternator out of the car. At this point I've given up trying to take the alternator out of that small gap. So I'm taking the front bumper off. There's two bolts up in behind this. There's also bolts along the bottom. You'll need to take the splash guard or the under tray off, the splash guard back. There's bolts in here. Your headlights are going to have to come off. And out of the road there's the bumper sitting down. There's a little bit of stripping to take apart here. So I'm wanting to try and pull this crash bar sort of forward a little bit to allow me enough room here. So you can see down there there's another bolt for your headlight at that point, as well as two at the front. I've got this big log basically strapped down here to actually lever the engine up a wee bit just to increase that size of gap there, while I'm also moving that intercooler pipe out of the road as best I can and trying to pull. You can see the gap there where I'm actually pulling the front end forward, letting it drop down and forward to allow me enough room to get the alternator out past. There's bolt here holes, one at the top and there's two at the bottom, so three in total on each side, and this actually allows that crash bar to come forward and allows me enough of a gap to actually pull the alternator out.